In the year 751 AD, the arid landscapes of Central Asia witnessed an impending clash of titans. On one side, General Gao Xianzhi, the pride of the Tang Dynasty, his eyes set on expanding the empire's reach further west. On the opposite end, Al-Saffah, the first caliph of the Abbasid dynasty, determined to cement his newly established rule and eager to guard the western frontiers of his realm. Between these two colossal forces, in the bustling marketplaces that dotted the Silk Road, merchants went about their business, oblivious to the shadows of war. Many were ever so busy haggling over the prices of their goods that they and their families had been exchanging with each other for over half a millennia, seemingly oblivious to the drumbeats of war that were approaching them. As Gao Xianzhi strategized, looking over maps, and Al-Saffah rallied his generals with fervent speeches, many of these merchants found new ways to capitalize on the situation and started to gamble to sell to both sides of the conflict. So let's dive into this intricate dance of power, ambition, and yes, commerce. Join us today on Historical Quarrels as we venture into a world where the course of empires can shift in the beat of a drum, and where good deals mean life or death. Welcome back to Historical Quarrels, everyone. I'm happy you are here listening right now. Like, so goddamn happy. As always, this show is very NSFW, and if you have ears that get little boo-boos anytime someone says something naughty, well, prepare to have a lot of boo-boos. But don't worry, I'll kiss him better afterwards. Mwah. Honestly, though, like I will swear and shit, so if you don't like that, please skedaddle the fuck out of here. Like, just get out if you don't like swearing. So now that that's out of the way, I do have a quick couple announcements that we'll go over, and then we'll go over the rundown of today's show. So as always, my second show that I do, Stereotypical Podcast, had its latest episode released last Thursday. Please go check it out. I'm really happy with what we're doing over there. We're having a lot of fun. It's just three dudes talking, and I know that's very common for the internet today, just about like three little, 20-something dudes thinking that they should start a podcast together and just talk about, their opinions and shit on things that they like. But, I figure fuck you if you think that. You're allowed to voice your opinion. I just make mine public. So, and you can do it public too if you want. Go voice your opinion publicly on our page over there. So go check it out. Also, I have a life update that I feel like you, my loyal listeners, deserve to hear. So I was recently diagnosed with exposed to intergluteal cleftitis, and I was told it was terminal. So for those of you that I meet in person, I am very sorry if you're exposed to too much ass crack, and I hope you're able to realize I can't help it, and that you feel bad for my terminal exposing of ass crack. It's serious. Please don't laugh at it. It's not a laughing matter. My ass crack gets exposed way too much. For today's episode, we'll be exploring the important events that happened before the Battle of Talas erupts, as well as introduce the Sogdian merchants that will play a pivotal role in today's main quarrel. After that, we will explore the lives of two of the leaders in this conflict. For the Tang Dynasty side, we'll explore the life of Gao Xianzhi, who was their general during the Battle of Talas. For the Abbasid Caliphate, we will go over the life of Al-Saffah, the first caliph / leader of the Abbasid dynasty. So, with that being said, and now out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this. The flourishing of the Silk Road in the 1st century AD set the stage for the robust trade and cultural interactions that would later influence both the Tang Dynasty and the Abbasid Caliphate, among other civilizations. Though these two empires would not come into existence until several centuries later, the groundwork laid by the Silk Road had lasting impacts on their cultural and economic landscapes. And seriously, this was a shit back in the day. Compare it to your modern day highway, except the highway is over 4,000 miles long, stretching from Xi'an all the way to Egypt and fucking Greece. The longest highway in America is Route 20, which is 3,365 miles long, which is almost a full 700 miles goddamn shorter than a highway that was made over 2,000 years ago. It should be noted that we as modern day people have improved somewhat, though. And a more fair comparison to the Silk Road would honestly be the actual longest modern day highway in the world, which is the Pan American Highway, which is a whopping 19,000 miles long and stretches from the top of fucking Canada almost to the bottom of South America. It originally stopped in Buenos Aires, but there have been some unofficial routes added in over the years. But still, holy fucking massive, Batman. Like, are you able to comprehend how absurd that is? The average person will travel 75,000 miles on foot by the time they die. Walking that highway alone would be about 1/4 of your total mileage before you are spent and need an oil change. And by oil change, I mean a new body, because your current one is ragged and worn the fuck out, like my old Honda Civic that I drove to Seattle from Utah when it already had 150,000 miles on it. I was a dumb teenager who didn't know how to fucking properly take care of his vehicles at the time, so I destroyed that shit by doing that trip. I really missed that little green piece of shit, though. It had a lot of good times in that old gal. Little old... I don't think I ever named... Yeah, I didn't name her. I named my new car, but I didn't name my old car because it was a piece of shit. But I did have a lot of fun in that piece of shit, so... Anyways, the Silk Road, for its day, accomplished pretty much the same thing the Pan American Highway does, in that it connected various countries and cultures together and was the main artery for burgeoning civilizations, trade, and wealth to grow with their empires. Here's how it would impact the Tang Dynasty. So the main economic impact would be in the goods that were transported. Silk, tea, and porcelain were some of the most coveted exports from China. These items were sold in markets as far away as the Middle East and even Europe, generating significant wealth for the Tang Dynasty. Some of the things they traded were horses, spices, and disease. Like a fuck ton of disease. There's a theory that the plague, the bubonic plague, might have been transmitted by the Silk Road. There's also a conspiracy theory that a specific family of Songolian merchants may have been the ones to either accidentally or purposefully cause the plague outbreaks and transmitted it along the Silk Road. This family originated from Samarkand. Their names were stricken from textbooks, but one of their ancestors does show up in both the Medals of Gold and Book of Tang, and was somewhat heavily involved in the Battle of Talas. His name is Shams al-Jin al-Bazdwat, or Shammy for short. We're just going to call him fucking Shammy because I'm not going to say his whole goddamn name every time. Anyways, one of Shammy's descendants supposedly would trade cured meats, and one year in the early 1300s was a particularly tough year for crops and cattle. And he was unable to gather enough meat in time for his trip along the Silk Road, and so to save money, he decided that it wasn't the meat that people liked, but the spices he added in and cured the meat with. So, really, any meat should be fine in theory. He went ahead, hired some urchin boys to gather up some mice for him from the streets. Said mice at the time were reportedly larger than normal and appeared bloated. They were, like rodents of unusual size, or ROUSs for you Princess Bride fans. It's a great movie. If you haven't watched that, you need to fucking stop listening to this and go watch The Princess Bride right now. Anyways, he first traveled to China, where he sold the meat, saying it was a rare type of possum he was able to find on his journey there. And he said that it had the most complex flavor he had ever had before in his life. Now he apparently made a killing out there selling his dirty, infested death mouse meat, which will now be the name for my next death metal band. Because death mouse meat sounds honestly really cool. I kind of want someone to name their metal band that. That'd be awesome. All right, so when asked by the people in China to partake of the meat, he reportedly said that his family had a rule that you never eat your own meat, and that you don't get high off your own supply. It's the golden rule. Yeah, all the way even to back into fucking the 1300s. That was the golden fucking rule. You just don't get high off your own supply. Which may indicate he also dabbled in the burgeoning opium trade that had just begun in the Middle East and China. Anyways, after about a week, the people began to get really sick, and they thought the merchant was cursed, and so he was chased out. From there, he decided to continue on and kept selling the meat to nearly every nation along the Silk Road, and eventually people caught on and killed his ass. But since the plague didn't stop after they killed him, and struck their name from every book imaginable, they tried to figure out what else could have been causing it, and this theory seems to have been lost to time. I like to think it was probably caused by him selling dirty rat-infested meat. And what's very funny about this story is how very similar it is to the bat and rat meat theory from how COVID-19 started and spread. So either history loves to repeat itself, or I maybe might have made some of that shit up. But the idea is the plague did probably start because of the Silk Road. More than likely, it started in China and it moved westward from there. And that's why everyone got super sick with it. But yeah, sorry, it's just a fun story. Interesting way to introduce a very important merchant family, though, because Al-Saffah is going to be very important later on. So let's continue on the impact that the Silk Road had on the Tang Dynasty and its particular culture. And one of the most significant cultural imports via the Silk Road was Buddhism and Buddhist Jesus, who is a lot like Jesus and Buddha, but with like none of the powers. And it's just a regular guy named Buddha Jesus a Light. Or, none of that silly bullshit. And it's just regular old Buddhism that entered China from India and became a significant part of the spiritual landscape. I mean, could you fucking imagine, though, if that's how religious syncretism happened? The combination of like two religions is what that would mean. It's just they take the spiritual head of both religions. So like in this case, Christianity and then Buddhism, and they just like blend them together. I know that kind of happened a lot with like Egypt and like other cultures back then. But I mean, it's so funny to me, that idea of just Jesus and Buddha just meshing together into one new. But like, it's just Buddhist Jesus is just a regular dude that they worship. Doesn't have any powers, doesn't do anything. They're just like, yeah, we just like this guy. Sorry, I'm going off on too much of a tangent here. I know. I was just having fun thinking about that. Don't blame me. It's what I do. I like to think about weird shit and over-explain myself. So, Anyways, so it became a significant part of the spiritual landscape, changed many people's lives for the better, and honestly for worse. As with every religion, some people truly intend to use it as a way to help, and other people find honest answers that we all seek, and others use it to control people and use its own doctrine to justify heinous atrocities that they commit. Which, yes, even Buddhism did, and would actually play a pivotal role in starting the conflict that would lead to the Battle of Talas, as you'll come to see that, Muslims and Buddhists historically have not gone along all that well. Not only was the religion spread, but art and literature would begin to change as well for China. Chinese art began to incorporate elements from other cultures like Persian motifs and even Greco-Buddhist artistic influences. Which, if you don't know what that is, it's essentially a Greek style of art mixed with India's own style of art. It is kind of like a blend of Greek statues, which had a little more focus on the object's movement, like the ruffle of their togas and the stance that they took. And then mix that with the caricature and artistic style of India, and you've got Greco-Buddhist art. I mean, you could also Google that shit, but like, I think I kind of nailed it on the head there for you as far as describing it. If I didn't, let me know in the comments, I guess, or in your review that you leave and it's like 1 star. He didn't describe it well enough. Shit, my bad. I'll describe it better next time. In addition to art and religion, another significant impact would be on technology and science, as China also imported technologies like the watermill and advances in astronomy and medicine from the West, since the Egyptians were obsessed with astrology. God damn. Since the Hellenistic period. And honestly, even before then. Them motherfuckers wanted to go to space and shit. And because of that, China hated them for it. Since they were like, we already have astrology fucktards and have had it since like 1766 BC with our zodiacs. You dumb motherfuckers. They did enjoy the medicines and new crops they could grow, however. With all these changes coming about, one of the most profound impacts would be on how much power gained from the Silk Roads trading that would be gained and used in politics. The wealth generated through trade empowered the Tang Dynasty to expand westward like a fuck ton, extending its influence over Central Asia and just got really fucking close to a bunch of other expanding empires at the time. All right, so that's enough about the impact that it had on the Tang Dynasty. Let's briefly go over the impact it had on the Abbasid Caliphate, and really briefly, as I would share many of the same impacts. So on the other side of the Silk Road, the Abbasids exported goods like spices, textiles, and precious metals. Cities like Baghdad became global centers for trade. The wealth generated from trade funded scholars, libraries, and observatories, leading to the Islamic Golden Age. The Caliphate became a hub for advances in sciences, philosophy, and medicine. Persian, Indian, and even Chinese influences melded with Islamic styles to create new forms of art and architecture called Persianese, which was an odd amalgamation, as the artists at the time seemed just super horny and just really liked the Kama Sutra and made a ton of statues of people banging and shit, which may have happened, but it was definitely not called Persianese. I just thought it was a fun way to combine like the Persia, Indian, and Chinese like names together. And the super horny statues, definitely true. I may have tried Googling like, hey, what statues were made during this time period, and yeah, all of them were like of people banging, pretty much. So yeah, lots of fun. Anyways, Arabic became the lingua franca for trade and science, but the Abbasids were also exposed to Persian literature, Greek philosophy, and Indian mathematics. The revenues from trade helped to stabilize the early Abbasid state, allowing them to focus on governance and territorial expansion. Both empires experienced cultural diffusion, absorbing ideas, technologies, and philosophies from other cultures. Elements of Persian art could be found in China, just as Chinese astronomy influenced scholars in the Abbasid Caliphate. The importance of controlling vital Silk Road routes would eventually bring these two empires into direct conflict, culminating in events like the Battle of Talas, which further emphasized the need for control over these lucrative routes. Okay, moving on now. So in the 2nd and 3rd century AD, we have the rise of the Kushan Empire. It had very significant impacts on trade and cultural exchange in the region, acting as a bridge between East and West along the Silk Road. While the Tang Dynasty and the Abbasid Caliphate would appear much later, the Kushan Empire set crucial precedents for how trade and cultural interaction could be managed, which later impacted both empires. For the Tang Dynasty, the stability enforced by the Kushans helped sustain and grow existing trade routes. This meant that future empires like the Tang inherited a well-traversed and relatively safe series of routes when they later expanded into Central Asia. The Kushan Empire was notable for its religious tolerance and syncretism. Syncretism. I want to use fancy words in this podcast, but holy fuck, I need to like cool it a little bit. It's like I look up a thesaurus for like, oh, what's another way to like meld or like combine? Syncretism. God damn it, I can speak fucking English. It's hard, man. Some words are like a little hard, okay? Anyways, it was notable for its religious tolerance and syncretism, which later influenced the Tang Dynasty's similarly open approach to various religions, including Buddhism and Taoism, but not Tangrenism, because fuck those Altai Mountain ancestor-worshipping fuckers. The Kushans were renowned for their art, which blended Greco-Roman, Indian, and other Central Asian styles. While not directly influencing Tang art, this multicultural approach set a precedent for aesthetic fusion, something the Tang would excel in. The Kushans effectively governed a large, diverse territory, providing a model for subsequent empires like the Tang to manage their own extensive lands. They were essentially the guy that everyone wanted to be, you know, and everyone tries to be the guy. Like how everyone is trying to be fucking Michael Jackson, and before Michael Jackson, everyone was trying to be Elvis, and so on. The Kushans were the shit back then. That was the empire that you wanted to be like. And for the Abbasid Caliphate, the Kushans placed a heavy emphasis on trade and commercial activity. When the Abbasids later mimicked to generate wealth, which the Abbasids later mimicked to generate wealth and support intellectual pursuits. The Kushans' cosmopolitan approach to governance and culture set an example for the Abbasid Caliphate, which itself became a melting pot of various ethnicities and cultures. The Kushans were patrons of Buddhism, and the role in disseminating Buddhist texts westward indirectly paved the way for Islamic scholars to engage with this tradition. They're like, these guys are doing it. I can also print my shit on paper and send it to a bunch of people that way too. The Kushans managed to balance the influence of larger empires to their east and west. This political savvy would later be seen in Abbasid diplomacy as they interacted with other states and empires. Okay, so now for both empires, the main impact was the economic stability provided by the Kushans that allowed for the growth of merchant classes and trading towns, which would later be important to both the Tang and Abbasid economies. The cultural openness of the Kushans promoted the sharing of technology, religious ideas, and artistic motifs, thereby enriching the Silk Road as a two-way avenue for cultural exchange that both the Tang and the Abbasids would later use to their advantage. The geopolitical role of the Kushan Empire highlighted the strategic importance of Central Asia, a lesson not lost on either the Tang Dynasty or the Abbasid Caliphate, when they later vied for influence in this crucial crossroads. And like I was talking about, the Silk Road, that is the shit that you want to control. You control that, you control your wealth. Yeah, no, you have to make sure you have control of those areas. Okay, so now moving on to the 4th century. Now in the 4th century, we have the expansion of the Sasanian Empire into Central Asia that would set a stage for conflict, trade, and cultural exchanges that later empires like the Tang Dynasty and the Abbasid Caliphate would encounter in their own expansions and interactions. So here's a look at the implications, right? The implication, for those It's Always Sunny fans. For the Tang Dynasty, the Sasanian expansion into Central Asia would disrupt existing trade routes temporarily. These shifts informed future empires like the Tang about the economic volatility and the importance of maintaining multiple trade options. The Sasanians also acted as cultural gatekeepers, passing on not just their own Persian traditions, but were selectively transmitting elements of Indian, Greco-Roman, and Central Asian cultures to the East. This cultural, quote-unquote, filtering would impact what reached China. Part of this filtering would include what merchants were able to get in, and the Sasanians apparently loved our boy Shammy's family, and so Shammy's ancestors were allowed to get in, and they may not have left the best impression on China and its empires, as they would routinely fuck up deals and give people the impression that everyone from Samarkand in the Middle East were shady thrifters that would try to swindle them. Shammy's family really loved this one scam where they would take goat testicles and sew it onto men who had virility issues. Due to the lack of clean tools and methods, many men in China lost their quote-unquote wangs. And so Shammy's family became known as the Gonji Langtuyan, or cock gobblers. Unfortunately, by the time the Battle of Talas would happen, the slang word for penis would be lost. And people in China would think that his family just really liked to eat roosters. So, they got away with it. It's fucking cock thieves. The Sasanian mastery of metalwork and textiles was renowned and would be studied and adopted by later Chinese artisans during the Tang era. By the way, if you didn't know, I was just fucking with you. Of course I'm fucking with you. No one... So, that was a scam that someone did like in the 19th century, but 100% did not happen in the 4th century. Could you fucking imagine that, though? Just a bunch of guys with like penis issues getting their testicles ripped off and replaced with fucking... sorry. Okay, with goat testicles. Anyway, sorry. I'm continuing on. Sasanian experiences with the Kushans and the Hephthalites offered a lesson in frontier management that the Tang would take into account during their own westward expansion. So, for the Abbasid Caliphate, the Sasanian focus on trade helped shape the mercantile policies of the Abbasid Caliphate, emphasizing the necessity of strong economic ties for geopolitical influence. Which is true. If you don't have money, really are you that important, right? Does your word actually mean shit if you're not... I guess for countries that is kind of important. If your country isn't producing shit, why would other countries want to listen to you? It's like, what? You don't have money. Your people are starving. You shouldn't be able to tell me what the fuck to do. You need to figure out what you should be fucking doing, not me. So, Yeah, but again, wisdom can come from all sources. So maybe it's we probably should still listen and be open about it. But I kind of get why people back in the day would shit on poor countries, because it's like, well, you don't even know what the fuck you're doing. So why are you trying to tell me what to do? The Sasanian emphasis on scholarly pursuits, including Zoroastrianism and Manichaeism, would later be absorbed into the Islamic Golden Age, facilitated by the Abbasids. Sasanian motifs and artistic styles found their way into Abbasid architecture and visual arts, adding a layer of cultural depth. Sasanian administrative techniques and governance models were influential in shaping the Abbasid approach to managing a diverse and vast empire as well. The shared impacts were that both the Tang and the Abbasid military strategies would learn from the Sasanian experiences in dealing with the diverse peoples of Central Asia, either through diplomatic alliances or military force. Both the Tang and the Abbasids would inherit a complex, multicultural Central Asia influenced by Sasanian, Kushan, and various other cultures, requiring a sophisticated approach to governance and diplomacy. Sasanian expansion underscored the geopolitical importance of Central Asia as a pivot between the East and the West, reinforcing its role as a critical battleground for future empires, including the Tang and the Abbasids. And you're gonna keep hearing me repeat this essentially, but Central Asia for the East and the West is really like, of course, there's gonna be a bunch of conflicts that happen there, and of course, people are gonna try and control it, right? That is the middle. That is contested borders. But with that, and then with the Silk Road, which is like super important for basically the whole world at that time, at least their world and their known world. Yeah, you can't be fucking around. Like you need to control Central Asia. It was the shit. Okay, so now let's move on to the 5th century. So now we have the rise of the Hephthalite Empire, often called the White Huns, or the Kami-Hunis, or the Spooge McGrooks, as I like to call them. In the 5th century AD, the White Huns created a new power dynamic in Central Asia that would have long-lasting implications for future empires like the Tang Dynasty and the Abbasid Caliphate. For the Tang Dynasty, the Hephthalites' incursions into Central Asia could interrupt established trade routes. Lessons from these disruptions likely influenced Tang trade policies to diversify their trade partners and routes. The Hephthalites were often viewed as destructive rather than constructive invaders. Because, some invaders in the past, like Alexander the Great was kind of an invader. Well, he was definitely an invader, but he was definitely constructive in that he kind of enhanced the culture of some areas, definitely enhanced his own empire and wanted to take care of it. So as he took over territory, he didn't necessarily want to just completely fuck it over. These White Huns definitely wanted to fuck it over. They did not give a shit. They would purposely destroy towns and not rebuild them, just letting them rot. Which that's a terrible use of land. terrible idea. You want to keep them alive and you want to keep them paying you. Yes, you can enslave them, but goddamn, just at least be smart about it. Anyways, their dominance might have temporarily stemmed the flow of cultural exchange, alerting the Tang to the fragility of such interactions. Essentially, the White Huns were that abusive ex that gave you a fuck ton of trust issues, right? And you wish it weren't so, but they 100% impacted your future relationships to the point where you yourself nearly became an abuser because you couldn't separate them from your perceived idea of what a relationship is. And you definitely needed therapy before you jumped into a relationship, but you were lonely and, needed comfort, which is understandable, but oh my God, please go get help first. The Hephthalites, I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, for those of you listening, let me know. But that's what I'm calling them, the Hephthalites, like heffalumps. Destabilized regions they conquered, providing a cautionary tale for the Tang Dynasty on the risks of overexpansion and poor governance, i.e. being an asshole just to be an asshole. Could you imagine Lumpy from Winnie the Pooh? Their people, it was just a bunch of fucking elephants fucking over Central Asia, just destroying everything. Man, Rabbit and Tigger and all of them had the right idea to be wary of the heffalumps. just, with the name like the Hephalites. Very close, very similar. I understand the fear. The White Huns, man, scary motherfuckers. So anyways, for the Abbasid Caliphate, the Hephalites, Hephalumps, fuck it, let's just call them Hephalumps. Dominance added a layer of risk to Central Asian trade. This likely informed the Abbasid strategies for protecting and securing lucrative trade routes. The Hephalumps. Fuck, I really want to call them Hephalumps, guys. I should have just been like, note, just call them Hephalumps. The Hephalumps brought with them their own cultural and religious beliefs, adding another layer to the Central Asian melting pot. This complexity would later inform Abbasid cultural policies, given that the Hephalumps posed a threat to multiple empires. I'm sorry, I'm just having fun imagining fucking Lumpy from Winnie the Pooh just wrecking towns in Asia. Oh, God. Oh, okay, sorry. Their presence emphasized the importance of forming alliances, a lesson not lost on the Abbasid Caliphate. Which again is very much like if your friend is in an abuse. So for the caliphates, this is very much like if your friend is in an abusive relationship and you want to visit your friend because you love them, and the two of you together are awesome, and you help each other grow and flourish as people. However, their asshole significant other is 100% in control of them. You feel like you can't say anything without the possibility of losing them completely. So you try your best just to see them whenever that asshole isn't there or knows what's up. So you try and sneak around and then maybe tell them what you think about like their partner. But once you get to talking to them, you realize that they're in too deep. And there's absolutely nothing you can say to change anything. And you are really just better off ignoring them for a bit and hoping they see through the bullshit eventually. But because your friend is too smart to be stuck in this shit, but you also know they probably feel like they need this asshole because of their loneliness issues, and they feel like it's, that is the best they can get, and they blame themselves for shit, and they honestly don't need to blame themselves for, and it's just really fucking sad. And for the Abbasids with the Hephalumps fucking over the Silk Road, that's kind of what it was like for them. So overall, the shared impact of the Hephalumps empire's rise and fall would offer both the Tang and the Abbasids military insights into how to deal with nomadic empires, whether to confront them head on or try to assimilate them. The Hephalumps, Hephalites really, just again, calling them Hephalumps. If you're just jumping in now and you're wondering what the fuck and why am I talking about Winnie the Pooh characters, go back a few minutes. They're the Hephalumps now. They're nothing else. They're just a bunch of roaming elephants that can talk and fuck over Central Asia, okay? That's what the Hephalumps are. They're scary motherfuckers, and they're gonna get us. Anyways, the Hephalumps were not easy to negotiate with. They were brutal, given their military aggressiveness. They would fucking kill you. They would kill your kids, stomp on them, trumpet around with their big goddamn noses, give Winnie the Pooh fucking nightmares, like LSD nightmares. It's just... God, I really... how they did the Winnie the Pooh horror movie? I really want them to make one with Lumpy now, but he's in Central Asia just smashing villagers. Oh my God, that'd be so funny. I would pay so much money to see that movie. Anyways, both the Tang and the Abbasids would have learned the importance of a nuanced approach to diplomacy in Central Asia. With the Hephalumps adding to the Central Asian mix, both empires would face even more complex cultural landscapes, affecting their governance, trade, and diplomatic strategies. So in summary, the rise of the Hephalump Empire further complicated the geopolitical and cultural landscape of Central Asia. Too many fucking elephants, man. The reign would serve as a lesson in the volatility of the region, shaping how future empires like the Tang Dynasty and the Abbasid Caliphate approached issues of trade, governance, and military strategy. So now we're on to the 6th century AD. The establishment of the Turkic Khaganate by the Gök Turks in the 6th century AD marked a significant shift in the power dynamics of Central Asia, affecting how future empires like the Tang Dynasty and the Abbasid Caliphate approached the region. For the Tang Dynasty, the Turkic Khaganate was more open to trade than the Heffalumps, which likely influenced the... Sorry. I still find it funny. I feel like every time I say it, I'm just going to laugh a little bit, so bear with me. Which likely influenced the Tang dynasties. Likely influenced the Tang dynasty to form economic partnerships with these Turkic rulers because the Heffalumps were such fucking assholes. The Turkic Khaganate promoted a mix of nomadic and settled cultures. The Tang dynasty would have been exposed to this diversity, enriching its own cultural milieu. The Turkic Khaganate served as a buffer against other Central Asian threats, something that the Tang dynasty would have considered in its geopolitical strategies. For the Abbasid Caliphate, the Turkic Khaganate's extension to the Caspian Sea opened new pathways for trade, which the Abbasids could utilize for reaching farther into Europe and Asia. The Turkic culture added another layer of complexity to Central Asia's cultural fabric. The Abbasids had to navigate this in their approach to governance and diplomacy. The Turkic Khaganate was a significant power, and their friendship or enmity could tip the scales in regional conflicts, influencing Abbasid foreign diplomacy or policy. So instead of friendship, these motherfuckers decided to just conquer them and shit all over their empire, which proved to be an effective strategy for handling them. As it turned out, the Khaganate were into coprophilia and became super submissive when the shitting began. Not really, but like they did. The Abbasids fucked them over hard. The overall shared impact was that the Gok Turks were known for their military prowess, particularly cavalry tactics, but the Tang and the Abbasids would have studied these techniques for their own military innovations, especially the Abbasids, as they would become their enemies later on. The Turkic Khaganate's rise demonstrated the need for dynamic diplomacy, but the Tang and the Abbasids learned that alliances in Central Asia could be both beneficial and fickle. The Turkic influence on language, art, and religion would leave an imprint on the regions they controlled, adding yet another layer of complexity for both the Tang and the Abbasid empires to navigate. So in summary, the rise of the Khaganate significantly influenced Central Asia's economic, cultural, and political landscape. Its formation offered critical lessons for future empires like the Tang dynasty, and really the Abbasid Caliphate, particularly in the realms of trade, military strategy, and diplomatic relations, especially military strategy. It was it's really good for the Abbasids, really like the Caliphate in general, because it wasn't just the Abbasids that fucked them over, it was the Umayyads as well. Anyways, the early 7th, so we're now on to the early 7th century AD. It was a pivotal period that set the stage for the later collision between the Tang dynasty and the Arab Caliphate at the Battle of Talas. By expanding westward, the Tang gained greater control over Silk Road trade routes, boosting their economic power and influence. As the Tang established suzerainty over the parts of Central Asia, Chinese culture, technology, and bureaucracy found new lands and peoples to influence, which would really fucking piss off a bunch of other cultures who were used to ruling those areas. They're like, God damn it, those Tang motherfuckers. The expansion provided a buffer against Central Asian powers and a platform for further influence or military campaigns. For the Rashidun, or early Abbasid Caliphate, conquering the Sasanian Empire provided the Arab Caliphate with access to considerable wealth and resources, including the strategic trade routes into Central Asia. The Arab expansion carried with it the new religion of Islam, profoundly impacting the cultural landscape of conquered territories, including Central Asia. The Caliphate, succeeding the Sassanians, introduced new forms of governance and law, which were gradually imposed on new conquests. Because of all of this, both powers became aware of the other's expansion. Is the Spider-Man meme where it's like, you! Both of them were looking at each other now, prompting military planning and strategic consideration of how to deal with a new formidable neighbor. Which is fair. You know, I feel like if America had more neighbors, I bet we do have like a backup plan for Canada just in case things go south, right? Like we do with South America. Or maybe not. Maybe we don't. Maybe we haven't thought about it. Or we probably have, honestly. I wouldn't put it past the government to have plan Z for when shit goes wrong on our borders. So again, a lot of this was because they learned not to trust anyone after their abusive ex, the cummy honeys or heffalumps, fucked them over too hard. Elephant dick is big from what I've seen online. So as both sought to control the lucrative trade routes, the stage was set for economic competition and eventually military conflict. And not just militarily, but also culturally, setting the stage for a rich and complex interaction of civilizations. Both empires saw Central Asia as crucial for their strategic depth and influence, ensuring that it would become a battleground for competing interests. In summary, the simultaneous expansion of the Tang Dynasty and the Arab Caliphate into Central Asia during the early 7th century set up a complex tapestry of economic, cultural, and military interactions. Mainly the culture would be like the Buddhists and the Muslims. They would not get along. Lots of arguments and lots of fighting. I kind of want to save for a future quarrel, so we're gonna save that. So these expansions served as the prologue for their eventual clash at the Battle of Talas, an event that would have lasting implications for both empires and the broader region as a whole. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the main characters of today's story, right? I know that's kind of a very long intro into this, but you guys now are experts on Central Asian conflict. Okay, so 710 AD. This is the beginnings of the Tang service for Gao Xianzhi. He was an illustrious military figure who emerged from a family with a military background. His father, Seji, was a revered member of the Hexi army who had worked hard to earn his titles and ranks. Taking after his father, Xianzhi showed an early proclivity for martial matters, demonstrating exceptional skill in riding and archery. This motherfucker knew how to ride. He could ride them all. He was a hard rider. And due to his family's prestige and his own burgeoning skill set, he was given the rank of guerrilla general while still in his 20s, which is really fucking impressive. I have not done anything close to that in my 20s. I'm a little over halfway through my 20s now, and definitely have not achieved nearly as much. I mean, I have a family and kind of moved up in my company, but definitely nothing like that. So this guy was fucking cool. Anyways, sharing the same echelon of military rank as his father in his early 20s. His early appointments were a stepping stone for his later, more distinguished roles as the deputy protector of Anxi and the envoy to the Four Towns. His tactical brilliance was first put to the test when he was assigned to secure the northwest regions, which were controlled by more than 20 countries and heavily influenced by Tubo forces. His expedition involved meticulously planned military logistics, covering vast terrains and staggered periods, often enduring 20-day marches between strategic points. His first major military campaign saw him leading 3 separate armies to attack Tubo-controlled territories from different directions, showcasing an aptitude for multi-front warfare. This guy was he was brilliant, militarily. He knew what the fuck he was doing. Xianzhi's military leadership involved a blend of cunning, bravery, and devout rituals to inspire his troops. And the devout rituals are argued on, but I like to pretend that this guy was hitting incense vape pens back in the day and just doing cool tricks with the smoke and shit. Or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, before taking crucial actions such as crossing a river that was deemed uncrossable, he would perform sacrifices to gain spiritual favor. He would most notably sacrifice his men. He'd be like, hey, listen, guys, I need you to die for me. But not in the military sense, but literally die so the gods will help us out. And only then he would execute his carefully laid plans after he murdered a bunch of his own dudes. Which, it makes me wonder, why he lost. This guy was brilliant. I'm kidding. He probably did, some sacrifices, sacrifice food or rations or other things. Maybe he did kill some prisoners or something. Who knows? The old Book of Tang and the new Book of Tang did not go into that much detail about it. I did try reading quite a bit of it, and I didn't get to anything about what his spiritual sacrifices were. So anyways, he managed to lead his army across natural barriers, defeating the enemy Tubo forces decisively. His victories usually ended with the capture or killing of thousands, showcasing his ruthlessness in battle. very ruthless. And then kind of thinking about this, like, so considering his day-to-day life, we need to think about it. It would have been filled with the rigors of military planning, tactical drills, and maintaining the morale of his troops. His upbringing in early years in the military likely ingrained in him a strict discipline and an unwavering focus on martial activities. Moreover, he would have had a keen eye for logistics, given the complexity and scale of his military expeditions. His understanding of the physical and psychological aspects of warfare would have been matched by a grounding in spiritual or ritualistic practices, as indicated by sacrifices before significant military endeavors. However, Xianzhi's role as a military leader did not come without its challenges and scrutiny. He was tasked with the enormous responsibility of defending against An Lushan's rebellion, one of the most devastating uprisings in Chinese history. Though he had a series of victories, he also faced moments of crisis that tested his leadership. Whether strategizing in war rooms or leading from the front, the weight of his responsibilities would have been a constant companion. You know, like when you're an adult and you have a family, the weight of having to make sure that they're fed, they're taken care of, and, you know, like you're not fucking up their lives, especially as a father, kind of weighs on you. And eventually you start to kind of lose your mind a little bit, and you question things. You question a lot more things about, like, oh, well, where would I be in life if I just, you know, did this or this differently? And if you spend too much time focusing on that, you'll never be there for the present and just keep fucking up more things. So just don't worry about that. In summary, Gao Xianzhi's early military career was characterized by a rapid ascent through the ranks, owing in part to his lineage, but also to his considerable skills in strategy, riding, and archery. That motherfucker could ride. God damn, he was a good rider. His early successes were marked by multi-pronged attacks, tactical ingenuity, and an ability to inspire his troops through both secular and spiritual means. He was like a good priest who didn't touch you, and you like that guy. Balancing immense pressures and responsibilities, his daily life would have been a mix of rigorous planning, martial discipline, and an unyielding commitment to the security and expansion of his empire's domain. Okay. So in the 720s, Al-Saffah is believed to have been born in the early 720s. Though exact dates vary among sources. He hailed from the Abbasid family, a branch of the Quraysh tribe, which also included the Prophet Muhammad. So in the early 720s, Al-Saffah was a relatively young man, deeply embedded in the complex socio-political fabric of the Islamic world. Again, born into the Abbasid family, a clan with ties to the Prophet Muhammad's uncle, very important uncle, Abbas ibn Abd al-Muttalib. This lineage granted him both prestige and responsibility from an early age. E.J. Brill's first encyclopedia of Islam notes the significance of family background in shaping the lives of young nobles like Al-Saffah, emphasizing the weight of expectation that came with belonging to a family so closely related to the Prophet. Yeah, it's kind of like let's pretend you all are super, like you're related to someone important, right? Like your grandpa was this businessman, right? Did a lot of great things, and now you're born into that, and your uncles also have done like a bunch of great things. I mean, there's like one or two uncles that kind of fucked around, but since you're now like kind of like the direct descendant of this guy, you're like, well, your whole life your family's like, listen, don't be a fuck up. If you fuck up, we're going to kill you. That was essentially Al-Saffah's life. He's like, you are destined for greatness. And if you don't get greatness, you deserve death. So while the Oxford History of Islam doesn't go into intricate details about Al-Saffah's youth, it provides a broader context of the world he was born into. The Islamic community was expanding rapidly, and the Umayyad Caliphate, although powerful, was beginning to show cracks. Religious and ethnic communities under Umayyad rule were growing increasingly dissatisfied, setting the stage for future revolts. Mostly because the Umayyads, these guys really fucking hated porn and like the Kama Sutra from India, and they were like, "Listen, guys, we don't want you having that." And most people, they're like, "No, we want it. Come on, it's fun. It's fun for me, you asshole." Or something like that. Yeah, they definitely did take a lot of rights from people and a lot of other shit from people. So Al-Saffah's upbringing would have inevitably been influenced by this tense atmosphere. and he likely received an education befitting someone of his status, focusing on religious studies, governance, and military tactics. Because when you're related to the Prophet Muhammad's uncle, you are going to be a war hero at some point. That's what you got to do. What's equally interesting is the personal life of Al-Saffah. Though specific details may be sparse, the Book of Golden Meadows offers glimpses into the cultural and intellectual environment of the period. It's plausible that Al-Saffah was exposed to a variety of scholarly pursuits and arts that were gaining prominence in the Islamic world at the time. The early 720s were a time of intellectual ferment, and Al-Saffah, given his status, would have had access to this burgeoning cultural richness. So he would have had access to a bunch of fucking books, a lot of different cultures, a lot of different resources from places all around the world, because the guy was rich. When you're rich, you get a lot of things that a lot of people don't have access to, and you get a lot of privileges that a lot of people don't have. So even as a young man, Al-Saffah was no stranger to the cutthroat dynamics of politics. Brill's work points out the essential role family networks played in consolidating power and influence. Al-Saffah would have been schooled in the art of alliance building, learning from the mistakes and successes of those who had come before him. While he was not yet the master strategist he would later become, the seeds of his political acumen were being sown during this period. Al-Saffah's exposure to governance, possibly through some administrative or military capacity, even in his younger years, would have provided him with invaluable insights. These experiences were likely apprenticeships that groomed him for the challenges that lay ahead, shaping both his worldview and his skills in leadership. So in summary, the early 720s were just these formative years for Al-Saffah, who's going to be very important in our battle. He's going to be the one who essentially sends everyone over and determines a bunch of shit before the battle begins. Influenced by his prestigious lineage, educated in a complex tapestry of religious, intellectual, and political disciplines, and sensitized to the undercurrents of dissatisfaction within the Islamic Empire, he was gradually molded into a figure who would later change the course of Islamic history forever. Okay, so also at the same time in the 720s, honestly up to the 730s, so while young Al-Saffah is growing up and being taught all this shit, the Silk Road is flourishing. Trade along the Silk Road is booming, involving merchants from both the Islamic world and the Tang Dynasty. The Silk Road serves as a conduit for exchanging goods like silk, spices, and precious metals, as well as ideas and technologies. One such merchant family, again from Samarkand, is Shami, or a prominent merchant. I shouldn't say family. A prominent merchant from there is Shami, who I mentioned earlier. Shami, at this time, was opening up a spice and textile trading business. So he'd get spices and textiles from his homeland, and he'd go back and forth, and specifically between the Tang Dynasty, parts of Central Asia, back to the Umayyad / Rashidan / Abbasid caliphates as parts of Central Asia, and trade back and forth quite a bit. The guy would get involved with a bunch of leadership, actually got involved with Gao at this point, would trade him textiles, saying that they could be used for armor. So this is kind of where the scamming shit began, really. This guy was a little shady thrifter. So you'd go up to Gao and be like, hey, listen, you take these textiles, you put it on your armor, right? And it could stop like a bow. And he would demonstrate take a bow and arrow, shoot at a specific textile, because definitely not all of his textiles could stop arrows, but this specific one for some reason could, and maybe his arrow was a little more dull or something, and it worked. And so he'd sell a bunch of that shit, go back, and then be like, hey, look, I know what armor they're wearing over in China. These guys are wearing textile armors, but I have these arrowheads and these spices. And if these spices are good for your people. But anyways, these arrowheads can pierce through textiles and go shoot one that was specifically for textiles. Little shady fucker here. He was just constantly doing that, going back and forth. So after he got done talking to Gao, or after he got done kind of messing with the Umayyads, he would go back to Gao. And that would continue on for years. So in the 740s, now skipping ahead a little bit, we have the campaigns against the Tibetans. Gao was involved in various military campaigns against the Tibetan Empire. And so let's go ahead and kind of get into this, right? So at that time, Lesser Bolu, a city-state around modern Gilgit, Pakistan, was allied with the Tibetan Empire. And this is going to be important because, again, these guys are allied with Pakistan very towards the Middle East. And they're also allied with the 20 city-states around it. They also become Tibetan vassals. So a Tibetan princess became the wife and queen of Lesser Bolu's king. Tian Renwan, Gao Xianzhi, and Fumeng Lingcha had all tried to attack Lesser Bolu in the past, but were unable to defeat it. So in 747, Gao Xianzhi led a three-pronged attack of 10,000 cavalry soldiers, surprising both Lesser Bolu and its Tibetan garrisons. Lesser Bolu's king and queen were captured and brought back to Tang. A lot of this information is derived from the New Book of Tang, an historical fiction piece written by Zhishi Tongxian, who turned Gao into a fascinating dramatic character. So let's kind of get into like the narrative, right? So the narrative from the New Book of Tang provides a rich and complex background for understanding the geopolitical and military dynamics that culminated in the Battle of Talas in the Tang Empire, the Abbasid Caliphate. One of the most notable elements in Gao Xianzhi's conquest of Tibet. This operation marks the empire's ambitions to expand its territories further east. While successful on the surface, this territorial gain also serves as a prelude to a military overextension, bringing the Tang Empire into conflict with other regional powers, notably the Abbasid Caliphate. Especially, again, these Tibetans were allied with a bunch of people from the Middle East, so like doing that definitely pissed them off. This is going to be the match that ignites the gunpowder bomb that they had already set up by getting so close to each other. This sparks a lot of shit. The conquest of Tibet could be seen as an initial domino that set a chain of events into motion, leading the Tang forces ever closer to a confrontation with the Abbasids. A recurring theme in the narrative is the issue of greed and poor resource management. Gao Xianzhi amasses enormous wealth in the form of jade, golden camels, and horses. However, there's palpable absence of any meaningful allocation of these resources for the broader well-being of the empire or its military, i.e. meaning he might have actually stolen some shit. The text paints a picture of a military leader more interested in his personal wealth than in fortifying or sustaining the empire's territorial gains. Such mismanagement hints at an underlying corruption that might have weakened the empire from within, making it vulnerable to external conflicts. The complex relationships between key figures adds another layer to the historical context. Xianzhi's relationships with Cheng Qing, and other members of the Tang administration is fraught with personal and political tensions. These interpersonal dynamics are portrayed as being just as impactful as the military strategies and tactics employed. Cheng Qing is depicted as a character who tries to uphold his duty and principles, even when surrounded by corruption and incompetency. His unsuccessful attempts to steer the administration towards better governance symbolize the systemic issues that plague the Tang Empire, from the local leadership to the broader corridors of power. In terms of military undertakings, both Gao Xianzhi and Cheng Qing participate in multiple campaigns that expose their varying degrees of tactical expertise. Xianzhi's appointment as the deputy of the Fei cavalry and Cheng Qing's focus on defensive tactics highlight the different approaches to military leadership within the Tang Empire. These decisions, successful or otherwise, set a stage for larger military confrontations and provide a crucial context for understanding why and how the Tang forces ended up clashing with the Abbasids. So the events and themes described in the New Book of Tang can be seen as ingredients that prepared the ground for the Battle of Talas. The empire's territorial ambitions, coupled with internal issues like corruption and mismanagement of resources, laid the foundation for the collision with the caliphate. The text might not explicitly mention the Battle of Talas, but the narrative's there and provide the conditions ripe for such a military conflict. So before we go a little further, an interesting piece of information is that Fu Meng grew angry with Gao for directly reporting news of the victory at Tibet to Emperor Xuanzong. without first reporting to him and threatened to kill him, which is like totally reasonable. It's like when your siblings try to take credit for a big surprise that you all planned and worked on together, but the middle child decides they should try and get credit before anyone else gets a chance to, fucking assholes. The eunuch, Bian Lingcheng, whom Zhuo Sheng had sent to monitor Gao's forces, interceded on Gao's behalf and reported Fu Meng's threats to Zhuo Sheng. Kind of like how the youngest will team up with the middle child after you understandably got angry with them for pulling that shit and then told your mom what you said to the middle child. Because, you're angry with the middle child and, you're like 13 and you're talking to your younger sibling. You're like, hey, fuck you for doing that shit. We should all get credit for it. I'm going to fucking kick your ass. And then the younger one's like, hey, mom, like, he said this. Like, what the hell? And then you're like, whoa, what the fuck, guys? So Zhuo Sheng, in response, summoned Fu Meng back to the capital, Chang'an, in the new year of 748 and promoted Gao to take over his position. Gao arrested several Fu Meng subordinates for attacking him. Fellow deputy military governor Cheng Qinlai, Qinli, and army officers Bi Shichen and Wang Dao, but then released them and allowed them to continue serving under him. So he was like, listen, you guys fucked with me, but listen, I'll let you live if you serve me. So he entrusted Feng Chengqing as his assistant, often having Feng lead troops, or when he himself led troops in campaigns, had Feng in charge of the headquarters. Li Xie also first distinguished himself as an army officer under Gao. Also kind of like how the middle child just takes over all your shit when you leave. And then when you come back home, you have to ask to use your shit again, even though it was yours at one point, but apparently not anymore because you fucked up and left home for too long, which is what Feng did. So, fuck Feng. Fuck that guy. As a result of Gao's first successful campaign, Tang began to contend for influence with the Abbasid Caliphate and Tibetan Empire in the area of modern northern Pakistan and Afghanistan. So yeah, these guys went far into Central Asia. Like they're pretty much into the Middle East at that point. Honestly, yeah, they were in the Middle East. During his service as Jie Dushi, or just Chief General, Guerrilla General of Angzi, places such as Tomak, Kucha, and Kashmir came under the Protectorate's jurisdiction. Okay, kind of moving over now to going back, I should say, over to the Abbasids, right? So the period between 740 and 745 was a critical phase in the life of Al-Saffah, a time when the groundwork for his eventual rise to power was laid. According to the Oxford History of Islam, the dissatisfaction with the Umayyad rule had grown exponentially during this time. I'm talking like people were getting pissed. There was pitchforks getting out. They didn't even have fucking pitchforks. Oh, they might have had pitchforks back then, but they weren't good pitchforks, okay? And they were wasting these precious pitchforks on shaking it angrily at the Umayyads, okay? The empire was grappling with a bunch of internal strife, financial corruption, and external threats. Especially with, the fucking Tang Dynasty getting closer and closer, taking over a bunch of shit, which was creating an environment ripe for change. These events were not lost on Al-Saffah, who by now would have matured into a perceptive and capable man. E.J. Brill's first Encyclopedia of Islam adds nuance to this period by discussing the importance of religious and ideological schisms that were becoming increasingly pronounced. The Abbasids, including Al-Saffah, were particularly skilled at leveraging these dissatisfactions. They would be like, hey, you know how you guys totally hate that they took away porn? Dude, I totally agree with you. We should definitely be allowed to have porn. I want the Kama Sutra back just as much as you do. I liked it when my wife did that one trick in there. Not actually knowing what was in the Kama Sutra, but, just playing into it. That was the type of shit that they did. They began to foster alliances and gained the support of different factions that were disillusioned with the Umayyad rule. Al-Saffah, with his keen understanding of politics and governance, likely played a critical role in these efforts. So he was probably the guy being like, hey, I'll get you the porn back. Don't worry about it. I got you. The Book of Golden Meadows provides a glimpse into the spiritual and intellectual atmosphere that Al-Saffah would have been a part of. Islamic scholarship was advancing, and new interpretations of Islamic law and governance were being debated. heavily debated. They're like, well, so wait. I think when Muhammad said this is actually what it meant. And people are like, no, that's wrong. We had it right. This is the way it's been for like 100 years since the last guy said that we needed to change something. So why are we changing it again? Just shit like that. The environment likely had a profound influence on Al-Saffah, perhaps encouraging him to view his lineage and Abbasid claim to leadership not just as a political aspiration, but as a divinely ordained mission. Which, to be fair, I think most people in that position, where they're raised to believe that they are essentially a god's descendant or a demigod-esque figure's descendant, I get it. I get it. It definitely, I'd probably feel the same way. But like, yeah, no, dude, I'm meant to do this. Like, this is what God needs me to do. That's why I was born in this family. Jeez, come on. God. Like, y'all should know this by now, dude. So during these years, sorry, just like hippie Al-Saffah, been like, yeah, dude, like, I need to be like in charge of Islam, man. Like, come on, dude. Like get with it. Oh, yeah, bro. It just kills me. During these years, Al-Saffah would have been actively involved in military and administrative affairs, honing the skills he would later need to challenge Umayyad authority successfully. Excuse me. God damn. The Oxford History of Islam underscores how essential these formative years are for developing practical competencies in leadership, governance, and military strategy. Al-Saffah was learning the ropes, so to speak, familiarizing himself with the complexities of running an empire. It's worth noting that this was a period of international interactions as well. The Islamic Empire was not isolated, but was a part of a larger world that included Byzantium, Central Asia, and even far-off kingdoms in India and China. Al-Saffah's exposure to this international landscape would have broadened his understanding of global politics and economics, making him a more versatile leader, capable of navigating complex geopolitical situations. God damn big words. Not even that big of words. I'm fucking dumb. Okay, I'll admit it. I'm a dumbass who just can't pronounce shit right when I read things. But I could write it. I could write it just fine. I just can't fucking read it. By the time 745 approached, Al-Saffah had effectively amassed a wealth of experience, skill, and critical understanding of the political, religious, and social dynamics of his time. He was almost like a coiled spring, ready to unleash the energy that had been building up over years of preparation. That fucker was ready to pop off. In addition to a cold spring, I like to think of it as like, not quite blue balls, but like you're about to bust, right? Like you're about to bust, but like she's like, just wait, save it, just wait. And he was ready to come. Okay. Though the revolt was not yet to come, Al-Saffah was definitely ready to. He was already a formidable figure with the political acumen, intellectual grounding, and strategic foresight needed to change the course of history. At this time, though, while this is all happening and all these revolts are starting to happen, there's a bunch of security concerns for trade. So due to increased banditry and smaller conflicts in Central Asia, merchants start seeking protection from local warlords and states, potentially paying levies and for taxes or for safe passages or something. One such merchant was Shami, who decided to pay the Karlik Turks to protect him in his travels back and forth. He would constantly give the Karlik Turks a plant that he discovered while in China. That he figured out that if you grind it up and then you smoke it, it gets you like feeling really fucking good and really relaxed. And as everyone knows back then, the Karlik Turks were constantly stressed because their buttholes were constantly being ravished by different elephants, like the heffalumps, so like the white Huns, as I mentioned earlier. And because of their buttholes always constantly being ravished by the white Huns, they appreciated the opium and made it a lot easier for them to not get upset during the ravishing of their assholes. And even eventually get the white Huns to partake in the opium, which then allowed them to kill them in an opium surprise attack that would later be mimicked in World War I by some plain wife-killing asshole named Richard Mentzhagen or something. Or maybe that didn't happen, but Essentially, at this time, mercenaries were getting used a fuck ton. They would become super important later on and become a major part of the world. So in 746, this is when we have the revolt against the Umayyads. This is the official time. This is when Al-Saffah gets to bust his nut, right? The revolt that would ultimately propel Al-Saffah to power and propel himself backwards a little bit from coming so hard. Was not just an impulsive uprising, but I'm sorry. I'm essentially a 13-year-old, guys, with my humor. I do lots of cum, shit, and fart jokes. Enjoy it, okay? Listen, be 13 with me. Just laugh and have fun, okay? Anyways, it wasn't just an impulsive uprising, but a carefully orchestrated movement grounded in years of discontent and strategic planning, and lots of rumor spreading. The very title, Al-Saffah, meaning the bloodshedder, underscores the violent and transformative nature of the revolution he led. The Oxford History of Islam notes that a growing network of disaffected groups, from religious scholars to military commanders, have been coalescing around the Abbasid cause, providing the necessary support base for the revolt. Al-Saffah, again, the bloodshedder, which is such a cool fucking name, and his strategists masterfully tapped into the simmering resentments. By the way, Al-Saffah wasn't called Al-Saffah until after this revolt, but I'm just calling him that because it was the coolest name I've ever fucking seen for a person. And I'm glad I can explain it to you now, but it's really fucking cool. So anyways, he tapped into the simmering resentments against the Umayyad regime, using them as a rallying cry for their cause. According to E.J. Brill's First Encyclopedia of Islam, the Abbasids capitalized on their descent from the Prophet Muhammad's uncle Abbas, claiming not just political legitimacy, but divine mandate. Like, essentially, they were like, hey, Muhammad was like, hey, so like this guy should be in charge because he's like my kin. Okay, like, because that's what Jesus did. Yeah, Jesus made sure that the never mind. I'm not going to get into that. They disseminated propaganda, framing themselves as the righteous restorers of true Islamic governance against the corrupt and deviant Umayyad rulers who didn't like porn, and that's being a deviant asshole back then. Something like that. Sorry, I'm just kind of stuck on that. I'm just like, yeah, they probably took away porn. That's why people were pissed. Something like that. It was during this volatile period that Al-Saffah began to act. Sorry. The revolt kicked off in earnest in 747, with initial uprisings gaining momentum and quickly spreading across the empire. Al-Saffah displayed exceptional military prowess and leadership qualities, making tactical decisions that often turned the tide in battles against Umayyad forces. This motherfucker was a genius. He would essentially guess what their next move would be and planned like 3 steps ahead and be like, okay, so like you guys go here. I'm going to go in and capture this while they're occupying this, because that's totally like, that's definitely what their next move is going to be. Don't even question me about it. That is what their next move will be. And he was right, like most of the time. We really galvanized the revolt with the early successes in modern day Iran and Iraq. Once the Abbasids secured these territories, they gained not just strategic footholds, but also immense wealth and resources. I'm talking like they had like fuck you money. They could go and fetch people sort of money, which were then used to fund the continuing revolt. Book of Golden Meadows emphasizes the multifaceted nature of the revolution, pointing out that it was a battle waged on spiritual, intellectual, and physical fronts. A pivotal moment came when Al-Saffah led his forces to capture Kufa, a city of immense symbolic and strategic importance. After declaring himself the caliph, he effectively shifted the power base from Damascus to the newly captured territories, further weakening the Umayyads. The defeat of the last Umayyad caliph, Marwan II, in the Battle of the Great Zab River in 750 was the climax, marking the end of the Umayyad Caliphate and the beginning of the Abbasid era. After the triumph, Al-Saffah wasted no time consolidating his rule. The new caliphate that emerged under him sought to legitimize its rule through a mix of policy reforms, patronage of the arts and sciences, and, when necessary, ruthless suppression of opposition. I'm talking straight up, the beheadings and shit that we've seen today in the modern era have nothing on this shit. I'm talking like you take the families, or like you take the dad you take him in front of the family and like you torture him in front of the family, right? And you're like, listen, you want this to fucking happen to you? Good. Obey me, fuckers, and then killing him, right? Like after they torture him for hours. That sort of shit. Al-Saffah had indeed shed blood to create a new world order, but he had also unleashed a transformative period in Islamic history, characterized by intellectual flowering, administrative innovation, and geopolitical expansion, which kind of like points out every now and then you need to have assholes to get shit done and to improve things. You need an asshole to get stuff on the right track, and eventually you can replace the asshole once everything's on the right track with someone who's a little more calm. But every now and then you definitely need an asshole who can get it done at the very least. And Al-Saffah was the asshole who was able to get shit moving in the right direction there. So because of this Abbasid revolution, merchants likely experienced disruptions in trade routes due to the military campaigns against the Umayyad Caliphate. Some may even provide financial support to the Abbasids, expecting more stable trade conditions under the rule. One such trader would be Shammi. Shammi would definitely spend a lot of money getting the Abbasids to like him more and get him more involved, as he knew that this was the guy who'd be fucking up a bunch of other people. He's like, listen, if I work with him, I could definitely sell him more shitty arrowheads, make a bunch of money. And he did make a bunch of money. Go Shammi. So, and because of that, he'd be like, now that I'm doing that, I can go over to Gao and I can sell more shitty textiles. And so he got over to Gao in 747 during the Lucian Rebellion. And the Lucian Rebellion was a seminal event in Chinese history. It holds a prominent place in the new Book of Tang. The text offers a multifaceted view into the political and military landscapes that led to this devastating rebellion against the Tang Dynasty. One of the pivotal figures in the narrative is An Lushan himself, a military governor whose rising power and influence ultimately posed a direct challenge to the central authority of the Tang government. His appointment to oversee several crucial frontier regions speaks to the initial trust and favor he gained from Emperor Xuanzong, but also serves as a catalyst for his ambition to seek even greater power. Which is true again for most assholes. Listen, you get enough power, you're like, oh, well, I kind of like this. I kind of want more of this. Let's try and get more of this. And so this guy was like definitely trying to just get more power. That's all he wanted to do. Inside the Tang government, one could see an atmosphere rife with corruption, greed, neglect. Themes that are recurring in the text constantly. I mean, I'm talking, this book was like shitting on greed all the time. And you think with how much shit's on greed, China today wouldn't be fucking communistic or really oligarchic. Is this going to get me banned? Sorry, China. You're not oligarchic at all. You're a great place. Actually, I know some people from China, and honestly, some of the areas aren't too bad from at least what I've talked to them. And maybe I don't know. I don't know the whole context. This is me making a lot of assumptions, but I just have a problem with communism, to be honest. I don't like communism, but I also don't like fucking I don't know. There's a lot of shit that I also disagree with capitalism and what our democracy has become, because capitalism is also an oligarchy. It's all just an oligarchy, man. We all live in one giant oligarchy and we give it a different label in different areas. Really, the rich just kind of decide what the fuck rules we have to live by. That's all it is. And yes, we can do revolution and shit, but then we need to figure out who's going to be in charge. And then that asshole is going to get too much power and be like, well, now that I'm in charge, now I'm going to be rich and decide. See, that history just teaches you whoever's rich is probably going to be in power. Your only way of like influencing the world is if you work hard and hopefully you are smart and you come up with something that people need. So if you're able to invent something that humanity needs, you'll leave an impact and you'll hopefully have a little bit of influence over the world. Anyways, high officials here in the Tang government. So let's go back. High officials are often more interested in personal gains rather than effective governance. God, again, true for today. Creating an environment of instability and weakness. The narrative alludes to the consequences of this corrupt system, indirectly laying the groundwork for a rebellion. It is against this backdrop of political decay that An Lushan finds fertile ground for his revolt. The administrative incompetence exacerbates the already fragile relations between the central government and the frontier regions, contributing to a sense of isolation and dissatisfaction that An Lushan exploits skillfully. I'm talking real skillfully. He was like, listen, you know these fuckers you hate already? Well, I'm not those fuckers. that's considered skillfully, apparently. He's like, I'm not them, so you shouldn't listen to me. Another interesting narrative strand in the New Book of Tang is the intricate web of relationships among key political and military figures. Yang Guosheng and Yang Guofei, the emperor's close confidants, are portrayed in a way that suggests their influence may have been detrimental to the empire's stability. Their roles in the court exacerbate the vulnerabilities of an already flawed system. Their involvement, whether due to corruption, poor governance, or personal ambition, adds complexity to the series of events leading up to An Lushan's revolt. From a military perspective, the book offers insights into the strategies employed by both sides. While the Tang army was formidable on paper, the text hints at the logistical challenges and the lack of preparation that ultimately hamper their effectiveness against the rebel forces. On the other hand, An Lushan's military acumen and the loyalty he commands among his troops underscore the threats that he poses to the dynasty. So Lushan rebellion, described, can be seen as a natural outcome of a series of missteps, poor governance, and ambitious individuals exploiting a weakened system. The text, though written with its own biases, provides an essential window into understanding how an empire, rich and powerful, can still be vulnerable to internal strife that has far-reaching consequences. And because of this, Gao is able to get a bunch of recognition during this. Because An Lushan is so good and is fucking up a bunch of other military leaders, the fact that he's able to squash the rebellion and win, it makes him seen highly in the eyes of everyone else. So when it comes to handling wars with other countries, they 100% are like, okay, we send Gao. He is the guy. He is the shit. So in 748, with the campaigns in Central Asia, again, against other people, he had sent on various campaigns, including the complex and challenging military encounters with the Turkish Khaganate. The book narrates how the Tang Empire extended its reach into Central Asia, seeking to secure crucial trade routes like the Silk Road and assert their influence over the frontier territories. While the Tang Empire initially found success in these endeavors, their ambitions eventually led them into direct conflict with the Turkish Khaganate, an influential nomadic empire in the region, who we kind of discussed earlier in the episode. A noteworthy narrative in the text focuses on the strategic maneuvers employed by both sides. The Tang Dynasty's military tactics and formations are detailed, showing a high level of sophistication in the approach. Again, mostly by Gao. This guy was brilliant in his own way back then. Definitely, I wouldn't put him on the same level as Alexander the Great, but he was a smart motherfucker. However, the Turkish also proved to be formidable opponents with their own unique tactics that utilize their nomadic expertise and familiarity with the terrain. The text underscores the challenge posed by the Turkish, who adeptly exploited the vulnerabilities of the Tang forces, such as their lack of acclimatization to the harsh Central Asian environment. Very mountainous, not high elevation, so less. When you come from when you train in a higher elevation for like running and shit, and if you go to a lower elevation, you can run for like an extra 30 minutes. Shit like that was fucking over the Tang forces because of the environment. There's also a bunch of political missteps, and the limitation of the Tang's logistic chain feature prominently in the account of the New Book of Tang. The narrative implies that the Tang Empire may have overextended themselves in these campaigns, struggling to supply their distant armies adequately. It's also evident that political corruption within the Tang administration had an adverse effect on the effectiveness of these campaigns. High-ranking officials were often more concerned with personal gain than the overall successes of military expeditions, leading to poor decision-making and even betrayal. A bunch of betrayal. So the Tang and the Kyrgyz Khaganate were not the only powers vying for control over Central Asia. The involvement of other regional players, such as the Umayyad Caliphate and various Turkic tribes, created a complex geopolitical landscape. And that's right. Even though the Umayyads were kind of killed out, they still had some influence over here, especially with the other Turkish or Turkic tribes, often determining the outcomes of key battles and overall success or failure during specific campaigns. Despite these setbacks and challenges, Gao eventually managed to defeat the Khaganate, although at a considerable cost. The new Book of Tang highlights the resilience and adaptability of Gao's forces, who learned from their initial defeats at the beginning of a bunch of battles from the strategies and tactics of the Turkish Khaganates. So the ultimate fall of the Khaganates served to reaffirm the dynasty's strength, so the Tang dynasty's strength. But the new Book of Tang does not shy away from portraying the human and material costs involved, which is why I'm using it in this episode quite a bit. I really like it. I think it was a little more accurate than Old Book of Tang, which was, I think it gave more of like a mythical kind of look. I mean, definitely Xinjiang. I can't pronounce it. I'm terrible at pronouncing Chinese names, so I'm sorry to any Chinese listeners. I do not mean to butcher your language. My tongue sucks. So just realize that. I apologize. But yeah, so anyways, that guy, his was definitely much more of a historical fiction piece. Gao was essentially like a Superman-esque figure in that one. And I kind of like looking at Gao in a more realistic sense. He definitely was higher up in the military. He might have actually taken some wealth for himself and didn't disperse it evenly amongst his troops, or try to provide his troops with more wealth to sustain them while they were out expanding their empire, which is what would eventually lead to some disastrous outcomes for the Battle of Talas on their side. Oh gosh, sorry for hitting my mic there. I was moving my hands around and shit. And, it just happens. Anyways, because of all this too, because of the Western expansion, as Tang forces led by Gao consolidate power in Central Asia, Chinese goods like silk, porcelain, and tea became much more prevalent in the Western markets. And Xiaomi was like, yeah, so I need to start selling more of this shit, right? I gotta get the shit that I'm getting over here from Gao over to the Abbasids. And so after the end of the Ulamed Caliphate, Xiaomi was like, hey, Mr. Al-Saffah, Mr. Bloodshedder, got some cool Chinese silk here for you. It's very silky. You could choke your cousins with it. When your cousins want to rule your empire and you don't want them to rule your empire, you can choke them out and kill them. It's interesting. If you choke them, there's a 33% chance that they'll come. Could you fucking imagine? Sorry. Ever since I learned that from my episode on the Turks, in the Ottoman Empire, with all of them like choking each other out, I learned what that rate is for autoerotic asphyxiation and why it's a thing. I've been obsessed with it. It's insane to me. A third of people who die while getting choked jizz themselves. It's crazy. Sorry. Anyways, back to Al-Saffah. In 750 AD. So at the end of the Umayyad Caliphate. In January, the Abbasids decisively defeat the Umayyads at the Battle of Zab. The victory solidifies the end of the Caliphate and the beginning of Abbasid rule. Marwan II is killed later in Egypt. Yeah. Kind of already went over that. So that occurred in the Great Battle of the Zab River. His forces emerged victorious. He named himself Bloodshedder, which is really fucking cool. Once in power, Al-Saffah worked swiftly to consolidate his rule. The Abbasids immediately undertook administrative reforms, with Al-Saffah himself involved in implementing more equitable taxation and legal systems. These changes were designed to correct the excesses of the Umayyad regime and to gain popular support, keeping their people happy, reinforcing the Abbasid claim to be the righteous rulers of the Islamic community. Which is kind of true. Like, if you're going to be righteous, you better have the best interests for everyone, not just like you and your buddies, which they kind of did. The Abbasids were pretty good at it. They're like, yeah, no, we need to take care of like all of our people and make sure everyone's taken care of properly. Al-Saffah, was not just a military strategist, but also a patron of the arts and sciences. He initiated policies that encouraged scholarly pursuits, setting the groundwork for the Islamic Golden Age that would flourish under his successors. However, his reign wasn't without its brutalities. He suppressed uprisings and opposition with a heavy hand. Again, just fucking chopping off heads left and right, aiming to centralize power and keep the empire stable. During this time in 750, he's making sure no one's going to fuck with him, right? That's his goal. It's like, I don't want anyone to fuck with me. That's all I'm going to do. Just try not to fuck with me. It's going to be great. But lots of people did try to fuck with him still, because it was the new guy in power. And when you're the new guy in power, people think you're weak, and it's an easy time to take over. But Al-Saffah definitely was not weak. He was called the Bloodshedder for a fucking reason. E.J. Brill's first Encyclopedia of Islam emphasizes Al-Saffah's diplomatic maneuvers as he extended his network of alliances, making treaties with neighboring powers to secure his western and northern frontiers. It was during this period of consolidation and expansion that he started to take notice of another burgeoning power in the east, the Tang Dynasty. By the mid-8th century, the Tang Dynasty had expanded its territory significantly, touching upon regions that were traditionally under Islamic influence or that lay on important trade routes. The Book of Golden Meadows alludes to diplomatic correspondences and trade missions between the two empires, revealing that Al-Saffah was fully aware of the Tang Dynasty's increasing influence in Central Asia. Really, the trades like Shami might have actually been used more of spies, right? So by sending these traders back and forth, they were able to get an idea of what the other empires were like, how strong their military seemed to be, what their governance seemed to be like. And that was being done back and forth. And Al-Saffah definitely was doing that to keep eyes on the Tang Empire. He knew these fuckers were going to fuck up with some very important trade routes that he needed to keep to make sure he and his empire stayed wealthy as fuck. Observing the Tang's ventures into Central Asia, Al-Saffah was understandably concerned. The expansion not only posed a military threat, but also jeopardized the Abbasid's economic interests in the Silk Road trade. Hence, Al-Saffah began contemplating strategies to contain or counteract Tang influence. Vice versa, the Tang Dynasty was doing the same shit. They're like, we gotta keep an eye on these Abbasids. They just fucked over this huge caliphate regime that had been taken over for a while, and we already kind of pissed off those guys, so they definitely know that we're trying to encroach on their territory. So this set the stage for the Abbasids' focus on Central Asia, where their interests would inevitably collide with those of the Tang Dynasty, leading to confrontations like the Battle of Talas. It's clear that for Al-Saffah, consolidating power in his empire was just the first step. He had his sights set not only on stabilizing the Abbasid Caliphate internally, but also on understanding and engaging with the wider geopolitical landscape, including the increasingly powerful Tang Dynasty to the east. Okay, so on the reverse side, in the further east, China, we had preparations for battle with Gao. So in preparing for the Battle of Talas, Gao Xianzhi, according to the new Book of Tang, would have had to consider a multitude of factors. First and foremost would be logistics. Supplying an army that was far away from its home territory, given the distance and the difficult terrain, ensuring a steady flow of supplies, including food, weapons, and horses, would have been a top priority. Military intelligence would have been another crucial area. Gathering accurate and timely information about the enemy's numbers, movements, and intentions would have been vital for planning an effective strategy. Merchants such as Shami would have been used to go and have him report back and forth. So Shami was making a killing at it during this warfare. Anytime war happens, the people who make the most money are people that sell bullets. So Shami was selling bullets and selling information, which is definitely what you need to be doing when it's wartime. One could imagine that Gao received orders from the Tang court emphasizing the importance of this campaign, both in terms of geopolitical influence and control over trade routes like the Silk Road. These orders might have stressed the need for a decisive victory to ensure the stability of Tang's western frontier and to send a strong message to the rival Abbasid Caliphate. It's plausible that these directives would also underline the importance of forging alliances with local tribes or other states to create a more favorable balance of power. Technically, Gao might have deliberated on how to counter the Abbasid's military strengths. He would likely have examined their previous campaigns, their favorite tactics, and their military technologies. Strategies for river crossing, setting up camps, and planning the formation for his army would have been critical considerations. The composition of his army, in terms of infantry, cavalry, and archers, would have also played into how he intended to conduct the battle. This guy was meticulous to a T. This fucker would have been like, okay, so we gotta get this, and this done. Again, Gao was a genius. Does not matter for this battle. We'll get into it, and we'll get into why. So emotionally, Gao would have felt a blend of confidence and apprehension. On one hand, he was a seasoned general who'd seen pretty much more successful campaigns than most other people had at the time in his same rank. On the other hand, the stakes were incredibly high, and a failure could lead to disastrous consequences, not just for him, but for the Tang Empire as a whole. Because again, if they don't take this over, they don't have these trade routes, they're fucked, dude. They're super fucked. They need this to grow and expand and keep their empire healthy. The trade and economic value of Central Asia was that goddamn important. The weight of these expectations would have been immense. His thoughts may have also revolved around how to lead and inspire his troops, many of whom would also have been far from home and facing the same logistical and psychological challenges. Been like, man, I miss home. I miss my wife's cooking. I miss my daughter, like learning how to be, a wife, and like I have to go like sell her and shit or something. Whatever they did back then. I know that happened a lot. Lots of daughter selling, essentially, for dowries and whatnot. Anyways, furthermore, Gao might have been concerned about the loyalties of his allied forces. The New Book of Tang suggests that a complex web of alliances in Central Asia at the time made for an unpredictable battlefield. As the leader, he would have had to consider the possibility of betrayal or sudden shift in alliances that could turn the tide of battle. He probably should have definitely considered that more, because we'll get into it later. Again, mercenaries were being used in Central Asia all the fucking time, like I mentioned earlier, and they would become important for his forces as they weren't able to get a bunch of forces from the seat of power of the Tang Dynasty over there into Central Asia in time. So the Silk Road wasn't just a physical route. Again, we're going back. We're going to kind of go back over. So right before any of the battle takes place in 751, we have a few more pre-battle tensions, and mainly for the merchants. And again, the Silk Road just wasn't a physical route. It was a network of possibilities that connected the Eastern and Western worlds. Both the Abbasid Caliphate and the Tang Dynasty understood its enormous economic and cultural value. According to the Oxford History of Islam, the Silk Road was a vital artery for the Abbasids, not only for the trade of goods, but also for the spread of Islamic culture and influence. Meanwhile, the Tang Dynasty saw it as an opportunity to extend their influence and cement alliances with various Central Asian states. Each empire sought to dominate this coveted trade route, knowing well that control over it would bolster their coffers and increase their geopolitical influence as a whole. It would take them from being important in this region to important for the world, which is fair. So merchants found themselves in a very complex situation. On one hand, the competition between the two empires could lead to reduced tariffs and increased protection along the trade routes, as each side tried to woo traders to their territories. On the other hand, this rivalry also posed the risk of conflict that could disrupt safe passage. Jibrill's First Encyclopedia of Islam mentions how the merchants were often viewed as economic parameters of an empire's strength or weakness, their comfort and ease serving as indicators of a state's stability. In this high-stakes environment, they had to be extraordinarily adaptive, willing to shift alliances based on whichever empire granted them the most favorable conditions at any given time. The sentiments of the merchant class were a mix of optimism and trepidation. The Book of Golden Medals touches upon tales of merchants who successfully navigated these complex geopolitics, becoming wealthy beyond imagination. Really fucking wealthy, like Shammy, because he was selling to both sides, while others found themselves caught in the crossfire of empire building, losing their goods or even their lives. They did not know how to sham like Shammy did. The promise of riches was overshadowed by the constant risk and uncertainty that came with traversing contested lands. This tension set the backdrop for the power struggle between the Abbasid and Tang empires, making the Silk Road a stage for both prosperity and conflict. So, we've set the stage. We're here, guys. You did it. You made it to the Battle of Talas in 751 AD. Give yourselves a hand. Okay? We're here. So, the Battle of Talas in 751 AD was a watershed event that pitted the forces of the Tang Dynasty of China against the emerging Abbasid Caliphate. At the helm for the Tang was General Gao Xianzhi. Again, military commander with years of experience in Central Asia. Opposing him was Ziyad ibn Salih, who represented Al-Saffah, the first caliph of the Abbasid dynasty. Al-Saffah wasn't there, but he sent his best motherfucker there to take care of this shit. And again, a lot of this too, because they were already like scheming and planning on taking over this area when the two forces met. This is when the battle erupts, right? So the battle occurred near the Talas River, in modern-day Kyrgyzstan, a strategically important location that both sides coveted for its proximity to vital Silk Road routes. General Gao's forces arrived at the battlefield well prepared, hoping their advanced weaponry and battle-tested strategies would secure them a decisive victory. Ziyad ibn Salih, though less experienced, was driven by the zeal of a newly established regime looking to expand its dominion. The Abbasids were also well armed, their ranks filled with well-trained soldiers familiar with the complex topography of Central Asia. The initial phases of the battle were intensely fought, with both sides gaining and losing ground. Gao's forces demonstrated superior organization and discipline, pushing back the Abbasids in several initial engagements. Ziyad, however, was no slouch. He skillfully managed his troops, employing hit-and-run tactics, so more guerrilla warfare-style tactics, that slowly began to wear down the Tang forces. In addition to this, Al-Saffah had one last kind of Hail Mary, if you will. Shammy, who was already involved and was hiring the Karluk mercenaries that I had mentioned earlier. These Karluks initially were employed by Gao to bolster his own forces. Shammy, on the other hand, decided to side with Al-Saffah because he kind of invested heavily into Al-Saffah. And so he's like, well, shit, if Al-Saffah lives here and Ziyad loses here, I'm fucked in the future. So he goes over to the Karluks and he's like, listen, guys, you know how rich I am, right? And they're like, yeah, well, I want you guys to think about, like, what if you could also be super fucking rich? And they were like, okay, yeah, cool. What do you want us to do? And he was like, I need you guys to betray Gao. I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? Fuck it. Let's do it. Or something like that. The actual reasons for the defection are not definitively established, but several theories exist as to why the Karluks will be switching sides here. Some historians speculate that the Karluks had long-standing grievances against the Tang Dynasty, probably for fucking them in the ass or something, and they didn't give them enough opium to enjoy the ass fucking, possibly over issues like tribute or subservience, something like that. Others argue that Karluks might have seen greater potential for the alliance and benefit with the rising power of the Abbasid Caliphate. Since it was kind of newly established, they didn't have like a routine set up like the Tang Dynasty already did. So they would have had more influence or like say into how things were established for working with them, particularly with the lure of Islamic influence and trade opportunities as well. The defection of the Karluk Turks was very decisive in this battle. And because of it, with them switching sides, the momentum shifted dramatically. I'm talking like, it went from, this is like kind of like a stalemate almost with the Abbasids having to do guerrilla tactics to the Abbasids were now on the attack themselves, just constantly attacking. With their ranks infiltrated and attacked from behind, the Tang forces found themselves in a very precarious position. They were fucked over, dude. The Karluk's defection had a ripple effect on the morale of the Tang troops, and the chaos erupted within the ranks. General Gao, sensing the shifting tides, tried to rally his forces, but it was too late. they were kind of done. Their formation broke. A lot of them were beginning to retreat. Gao couldn't control his men, and so it was the only viable option left completely to him. So he decided just to pull on a full-on retreat. And Ziad seized this opportunity and ordered an all-out assault, hoping to clinch a decisive victory. His troops charged with renewed energy, their swords and spears glistening in the Central Asian sun. The Tang forces were overrun, suffering heavy casualties. Those who could fled, but many were captured, further tipping the scales in the favor of the Abbasids. In the aftermath, Gao Xianzhi retreated with the remnants of his army back toward Tang territory. Despite his best efforts, the campaign was a failure, and the consequences were far-reaching for the Tang Dynasty. For the Abbasids, the victory at Talas was a triumph that solidified their standing in Central Asia and gave them control over important trade routes. Al-Saffah, back at his capital, received the news with immense satisfaction. The victory not only expanded the territories under Abbasid control, but also struck a psychological blow against a formidable adversary. Not just against them, but against a bunch of people. A bunch of other empires would essentially see this battle and be like, well, we're not fucking with them. Don't want to fuck with them right now. This battle will become a defining moment in his reign, etching his legacy as a military leader. However, the battle did not result in a long-term occupation of Central Asia by either empire. Instead, it became a sort of high watermark for both, with the Tang retreating from Central Asia and turning inward due to internal rebellions, like the Lushan Rebellion, which was continuing, and the Abbasids becoming more embroiled in their own internal issues. In the annals of history, the Battle of Talas stands as a testament to the unpredictability of war, where alliances can shift like the desert sands and turn the tide in unexpected ways. It's a battle that had lasting implications for both empires and set the stage for a new geopolitical landscape in Central Asia. So, I know we're over the battle, but the information I found was kind of interesting, so I want to share with you some of the aftermaths for Gao and for Al-Saffah. So, following the disastrous defeat at the Battle of Talas, General Gao Xianzhi found himself in a precarious position. He was ordered to return to the Tang capital, a summons that weighed heavily on his mind. Which I bet he was considering, like, I'm gonna get my head fucking chopped off. I bet he definitely was like, I am getting murdered for this, and it would be murder because the guy kicked ass, and losing one battle does not mean that you should be murdered. I mean, I know it's important, but goddamn. The once celebrated general was acutely aware that failure in the battlefield often led to a swift and merciless fall from grace within the corridors of imperial power. And as he made his way back, he couldn't help but contemplate the fickle nature of political fortunes. As again, described in the New Book of Tang and his volumes. Guy's name who I can't pronounce. His volumes, who did like the historical fiction piece, kind of made it seem like he was, thinking like, shit, I'm fucked. So upon his arrival in the capital, Gao was met with a mixture of quiet contempt and visible disappointment from the court officials and the emperor. Whispers around the palace were damning. He had not only lost a critical battle, but also allowed a betrayal to occur within his ranks. An investigation was launched, led by officials keen to find a scapegoat for the military failure in Central Asia. It wasn't long before allegations of corruption surfaced, further tarnishing Gao's reputation, accused of embezzlement and abuse of military funds. Again, like the golden camels, the jade, and all the shit they kept for himself. He was being accused of it. But at the same time, it's like, he kind of won it. So I don't know, it was kind of earned, but at the same time, he didn't use it properly. So Gao found himself in the eye of a political shitstorm that he could not weather. Too much shit. So while he was a seasoned general, well-versed in strategies of war, the court intrigues and political machinations were a battlefield of a different sort, one where he was ill-equipped to defend himself. As the case against him mounted, him and actually a buddy of his named Fang, the outcome became increasingly inevitable. The court, perhaps seeking to make an example out of him or simply to distance the imperial administration from the military debacle of Central Asia, they found Gao guilty. His fate was sealed. He would be executed for his alleged crimes. The day of the execution arrived with somber air. Gao Xianzhi, who had once led troops into battle, commanding respect and fear in equal measure, found himself alone and humiliated. As he was led to the execution ground, he could only reflect on the whirlwind of events that brought him to his grim end. And as the blade fell on his friend, and it was about ready to go for him, he would look at his friend and say, "I retreated when I encountered the bandits, and I should die for this. But I swear to the heaven above and the earth below, the accusations that I stole the food supplies and the imperial rewards are false. So basically he's saying, like, it's all bullshit. And I mean, like, I retreated and I should die because I retreated. This guy was like that level of honor. He's like, yep, I fucked up. I should die for that. But I should not die for the false accusations. And the soldiers cried out for Gao as well. But Bian still beheaded Gao. And as Gao was to be killed, he looked at Feng's body and stated, Feng, you became prominent from your low station. I promoted you to be my assistant, and you later succeeded me as Jie Duxi. It is a fate that we die together here today. So he died with his best friend. And then in 754 AD, Al-Saffah got AIDS. Yeah, so like little known fact, AIDS was actually discovered in the Middle East and Central Asia during the time. And because Al-Saffah was like fucking a bunch of people in Central Asia at the time because it was his new land, and he was like, dude, I get to bang everyone here. He got AIDS and he died because of it. Or something like that. No. Anyways, after the Battle of Talas, Al-Saffah found himself in a stronger position to exert control over Central Asia, significantly weakening the Tang Dynasty's influence in the region. Victory was not just a military triumph, but a momentous occasion that would ripple through the pages of history. In E.J. Brill's first Encyclopedia of Islam, the Karluk switch of allegiances during the battle played the pivotal role in Abbasid victory, and it was a testament to Al-Saffah's diplomatic skills as well as the influence he held over the tribes in the region. However, despite this victory, Al-Saffah's time to enjoy the fruits of his triumph and, fucking people in Central Asia just for fun was very short-lived. He got approximately 3 years to enjoy banging people in Central Asia. And banging elephants, heffalumps in particular. He found one named Lumpy that he just loved so much. But that Lumpy had AIDS. And he died in 754. Which is really just a year after the whole Battle of Talas concluded. So it started in 751. It kind of continued on off and on for 2 years. But So he didn't do that. And so his brother Al-Mansur would later fill the power vacuum that he left and continue on the empire that he built, which stretched from modern-day Tunisia in the west to the eastern fringes of Central Asia. But maintaining control over the lands was a colossal task. In the immediate aftermath of Al-Saffah's death, saw a period of internal strife and consolidation. Al-Mansur had to deal with internal factions, revolts, and challenges, and had to leave Central Asia. However, the strategic importance of the Silk Road made clear by the Battle of Talas remained a constant focus for the Abbasids, who continued to maintain a strong presence in Central Asia, but definitely not control. They had a presence, and they understood that, maybe just bribing merchants and getting them to work with you and lie to other people was a easier way to do it. But because both empires essentially faced a bunch of internal strife, neither of them could control the area because they overextended, hit each other super hard, and were like, shit, I need to go back home for a little bit and rest up. And that kind of takes us to the end of today's quarrel. But before we end, I do kind of want to go over a brief review. So for the Tang Dynasty, the loss of influence in Central Asia marked the end of Tang's westward expansion. The battle itself may not have been the sole cause, but it symbolized the retreat. But it is symbolized by the retreat of the Tang forces from Central Asia. There's a shift in focus for the Tang Dynasty. After the battle, its focus went back to its eastern territories, particularly after the devastating Lushan rebellion. The rebellion strained resources and made it challenging to maintain distant frontiers. There's also the cultural exchange. So despite the retreat, the earlier Tang presence in Central Asia ensured that the cultural, religious, and economic exchanges persisted. For instance, Buddhism continued its spread from India through Central Asia into China. So Buddhism kept on going. Muslims didn't like it, but it kept on going. And then an intriguing, albeit debated, consequence of the battle is the claim that Chinese prisoners captured at the Battle of Talas introduced paper making to the Islamic world, which then brought it to the West as a whole in the 750s. So for the Abbasid Caliphate, Their victory solidified the control over much of Central Asia, ensuring the region would have a Muslim majority character, which persists to this day. So, and that was a big thing. They didn't like the Buddhists, and Muslims were like, listen, hey, it's just going to be Islam here. Okay, get the fuck out, you Buddhist bastards. The spread of Islamic culture, the control that they had over the area facilitated the spread of their culture, science, and learning throughout the region, leading to the eventual Islamic Golden Age, which is really cool. They got a bunch of they learned a bunch of sciences that we in Europe, honestly, Europeans wouldn't get until the 1600s or 1500s, 1400s too, kind of. So a lot of their shit just wouldn't spread over until then. There is a strategic buffer as well. So the control of Central Asia provided a buffer against potential Eastern threats. While there were other confrontations between Islamic forces and Eastern empires, no large-scale conflict with China occurred after Talas. It was the last big one because of it. So, and then trade in the Silk Road. So with Central Asia under the Abbasid influence, the Silk Road trade under Muslim auspices flourished. The trade brought immense wealth and also facilitated the exchange of ideas and technologies, such as papermaking. So, but yeah, that brings us to the end of today's episode. To the end of this battle, of this historical quarrel. So yeah, guys, that brings us to the end of today's episode. It was a long one, but I hope it was a good one. I had a lot of fun writing this. I had a really good time researching all that information. Guys, the Golden Book of Meadows is like $350 That shit was expensive. I definitely did not buy that to get some of this information. I found other resources, and I might have gone to my local library or something like that, and just found passages that I could use to pull information from. So that was fun. A lot of my thoughts and takeaways from this, though, is kind of how greed and corruption played a big role in this campaign. It reminded me of the Romans versus the Byzantines, and how the Byzantine Empire definitely could have beaten the Romans in the early stages. But because a lot of political figures were spending a bunch of money or stealing a bunch of shit, they didn't have enough supplies to ever, completely stop them and, go fuck them over. And then Hannibal was really close, but, and then it kind of also today in modern times, especially with the trade, that's why I kind of focused on the trade, because Shammy may have been a fake character and he shammed a lot of people, right? He was a big sham, but, back then, the trade route was that vital. They would definitely use merchant families as almost like these spies, which I thought was really fucking cool. It's like you're a merchant and you're a spy back in the day. God damn. So yeah, and the selling of weapons and information to both sides definitely made people really fucking wealthy. Maybe it still makes people really fucking wealthy today when conflict happens. So it's cool shit, man. It's not really. I mean, it sucks, but it's kind of cool. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm interested to hear your take. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. If you did enjoy it, let me know. Let me know what I can do to improve. I love hearing even the bad shit. Or let me know what you did like, and then I'll try and focus on that a little more. Or if I already focused on the right amount of it, then I'll just keep it there. So for future episodes. But yeah, that's all for today. Love you guys. You all have a good one. Bye-bye.